prepare to put on your tinfoil hats.
Tonight we'll be talking to Amber about her experiences with ghosts in the workplace and her personal life. If you have had an experience that you would like to share, you can contact us at challengeunknown@gmail.com.
All right, Amber, go ahead and tell your story.
Okay. Well, this took place in, we'll say, Louisville, Kentucky, is where it took place. I'm from Southern Indiana. It took place probably about 5, 6 years ago. I've been working in the children's ER for 11 years, so I have a lot of different things that have happened. But I decided to talk about this instance because I had read a post on Reddit of someone asking if all encounters were negative encounters. And my encounter that I'm going to talk about wasn't really a negative encounter for me. Um, Basically, I I worked 7 p to 7 a night shift in the ER, and it's a long, long night. And it was a pretty rough night that night. We have patients that come in that we call them regulars because they're chronic kids and they come in a lot, and you get to know them and their families. Um, and it was that night we had the trauma alert went off. We had a stat flight coming in and we could hear the trauma coming in. And by the time we got to the room, I mean, it was too late, but we could tell who it was. Like, I knew who the patient was. I knew who his family was. And it was pretty early in my shift when this happened. And usually in the ER, like our ER has about 6, 7 different hallways. And as the night goes on, they close different hallways, just since we don't have the patients to go into those hallways. And that night I just needed a break because it was rough. And so I went into one of the hallways that was closed down, and there's 6 rooms. And I'm sitting in the unit secretary area just playing on my phone. And um, I hear a really loud, like, giggle, like kind of like that creepy giggle, and just some footsteps running. And it's not really unusual to hear that because I work, there's kids everywhere where I work. So, but I just wanted to make sure that the kid wasn't by themselves. So I got out from behind the unit secretary area, and I walked towards where I was hearing the laughing. And I went into the room, and there was nothing in the room. The light was off. And then suddenly, like, I heard the laughing again, but it was down in like room 2, and I was in room 6. And then I saw the light switch. So I went down there, and then I looked in the room, and there was no one in the room. And so I turned off the light, and I was I had an off feeling, but it was the long night. So I was just like, whatever. And so I went back again and like started playing with my phone. And then I think it was room 4. Room 4, the lights turned on, and I heard a laugh again. And so at this point, like, I knew something was up. And I get up and I walk down to room 4, and I look into the room, and I see my patient that I've seen for years. And I see him on the bed, and he looks at me, he smiles, he laughs, and then he literally just disappeared. And then I don't know, it was a really weird feeling. Like, I was off the rest of the night. Like, you can't go and tell people who you work with what you just saw because they're not going to believe you at all.
Yeah,
So,
understandably so.
but I
Yeah,
mean, it was just kind of like a piece, an inner piece, because I had literally just saw him pass away on the trauma table hours before. And so seeing him in the room, and like, he was a chronic patient, and he was wheelchair bound, and like, he was on the bed by himself, no wheelchair, and he was just smiling. And I don't know, it was kind of, I was really, really upset that he was gone, but it was kind of just he's okay sense.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I understand, but hey, I mean, hey, you never know. Your coworkers might not be so judgmental. I absolutely understand the concerns with coming out openly about this kind of stuff. And actually, a lot of people that have come on our show that we're very hesitant to, one of the things that they say is like, I've been ridiculed about it for years, and nobody listened to me until you guys came along. I mean, I hang a giant X-Files poster at my work, and I get ridiculed for it all the time, but I think it's hilarious. And yeah, there's a giant X-Files poster, the
That's
UFO
awesome.
flying saucer. It's like a huge movie poster, and it's like up on the wall.
And like I've always had weird encounters that I can't explain, and then I've had encounters with friends and family, like I've mentioned before, that they can't explain and I can't explain. And so this this wasn't scary to me because it wasn't the first time like I had ever seen or heard anything like that was unusual or not right. But I don't know, this is definitely like one of the encounters that sticks out the most to me, though, because it's just, some of the other ones are just scary, and then this one I wasn't scared.
It was more like a sense of relief because the way
Kind
the
of.
way he appeared to you was happy.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And just seeing him smile, like, I don't know, that was just it really took me back. And I was really glad that I only had like 2 hours left in my shift, like it was almost over. But
Hmm. I mean, that's kind of interesting to me because most of what I hear from people, both on the show and just like on the internet and their stories, they always say that their stories are very scary.
yeah,
Except for one occasion, I won't get into that. But I think it's a nice change of pace, to hear about how it's a pleasant experience. It's not you don't feel threatened, you don't feel hurt. It's more
right.
of a hey, I'm good now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets your heartbeat going, that's for sure.
Of
But
course.
like you said, it was, and I think that was the main reason I wanted to kind of share it, because you just read all the time about all these like negative things about encounters, and I just don't feel like that's the case.
So
There has to be some good with the bad.
yeah, of course. With the good, there's the bad. Um, people tend to focus on the bad more often than the good.
Yeah, I know
So
so a lot.
this was like basically a sense of relief for you because seeing him happy like that was
Yeah,
was nice.
yeah. I mean, it was really nice because I mean I had been working there already for about, I mean, 5 6 years, and I had grown to like know him and his family. So it's
Mhm.
like I saw him grow up, and it was just, I don't know, it was a very like relieving feeling. And like I've always said, working with children in general just will change your whole perspective on life,
Mhm.
and that in itself just changed my whole perspective on healthcare. And so, and I'm grateful that I got to experience it, at least,
Mhm.
because I was very, very upset like the whole night. But when you work in the emergency room, it doesn't stop. Like, you have to keep going. And
Yeah.
when you have a patient pass away, like they'll put a little dove on the door, and like they'll keep the door closed for the rest of the night, but you still have to walk past it. So you're constantly reminded of what's in that room. And then just being able to like experience that and kind of like say my goodbye in a way
Mhm.
was definitely a good experience, and I'm grateful for it.
It's a very high stress environment. I don't want to say depressing because I don't feel like that gives enough respect to people who deal with their issues that they deal with. But it's very stressful, and it's easy to become upset in that kind of environment, I assume.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's really easy to take things home with you in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
um I mean, for 12 hours you're dealing with sick children, you're dealing with parents who are worried about their sick children, you're dealing with children who aren't going to make it, and then you're dealing with children who are just perfectly fine and just
Yeah.
needed to go to the doctor. So I mean, it's definitely, it affects like everything you do.
Mhm.
But I don't know. it's not meant for everybody, but I enjoy it. If and that sounds so weird saying I enjoy it, but
I know
it's
what you mean.
definitely
My compliments to you, because that's it's it's very honorable that you're able to do something that can affect someone so negatively.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, it's not for everyone. Like, for example, for myself, if someone I knew were to pass away like that, I'd be very upset and I wouldn't want to work for the rest of the night. You know?
Yeah. It's rough. That's why like I went to like the closed down area of the ER because sometimes you have to step away and take a breather,
Yeah.
and it gets different. And I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain until someone's like actually worked in that kind of environment. Like it's really hard to explain because you don't know what's coming in.
Yeah.
You know, we know the alerts, like when we hear the trauma alert come in, like we know something bad's coming in, or like, and we can look at the board and see what's coming in. But and you like when you're in the moment, you're just in the moment. You don't even know what's going on. You're just trying your best.
You
And
can, for someone who hasn't done it, you can hear a million stories, but you won't truly understand what it's like until you're there yourself.
exactly, I agree with that.
The same thing,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit off topic, but the same thing applies to veterans, and like when they go to war, or I guess even to people who have sleep paralysis and encounters with the unknown. You don't truly understand what it's like until you've experienced it yourself.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. I mean, you try to explain to people who don't know, who have never experienced anything supernatural or anything abnormal, and they think you're crazy, and like you, you can't. It's a hard community because you don't have anybody to talk to. Sometimes it feels like
Yeah.
about your experience, and just like this one, I had to keep it all bottled up, and I just decided to share it. And Reddit kind of has been like my outlet for all of my experiences because, my family knows about it, but a lot of the people that are close to me, I don't tell about it because she's crazy.
Do you just not feel comfortable? Like you feel like you might be ridiculed?
To an extent, maybe. I mean, I I don't know. Like when I talk about it with some people, like you can just tell by like their facial expressions and like their body language that they don't believe you. So it's
Yeah.
like a waste. I'm wasting my breath. Like, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
You don't want to feel like you're in an awkward situation, or you don't want to have the feeling of someone like judging you, thinking you're crazy.
Right, exactly. Um, for me, I started just writing things in a journal. I
Mhm.
started writing things in a journal from like a really early age. Like I started experiencing things probably like when I was really young. And I would tell my parents and they would be like, "Oh, it's an imaginary friend, yada yada." And then I don't know, I just got this smart idea to just start writing down every single thing I saw and every
Mhm.
single encounter. And like I have like 15 notebooks just full of weird encounters that I can't explain, and going back from when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Like it's
That's
crazy.
amazing.
but
Have
but
you?
they're hid and locked away because if someone like reads them, they're gonna be like, she is nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I think that of course, like Reddit is a good outlet, but I think that it's always good to have someone that you can talk to about whatever. Of
Yeah.
course, that takes a certain kind of person, but it's always good to have that person that you can just talk to about, anything. Because when you keep things bottled up inside of you, they kind of, build up and build up until, you can't really, how would I put it? You can't really hang on anymore.
Oh, I know. I'm a Cancer. I'm the best at bottling things up. Now, it's good for like drunken talk when you're out drinking with your friends or something. You're like, hey, let me tell you about this. And then you can just blame it on the alcohol. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't see ghosts. I was just drunk. What are you talking
I
about?
was just drinking. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I was just drunk.
Would you be willing to share more of your experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a lot, guys. But yeah,
We're all ears,
I
man. I
mean,
love that stuff, man.
oh man. Let's see. I mean, goodness sakes, I don't even know where to start. Um, well, I grew up in this little town in Indiana, like little bitty town, and we ended up probably about when I think this is like my best experience. My parents built this house literally in the middle of the woods. It was 22 acres, but it used to be an old town in our, and they like tore down the town, like the old stuff, and there's like that old well from the ring. That's what it
Mhm.
reminded me of. But they built our house there, and I mean, I had so many encounters there. Like I had nicknames for all of the different people and things I would see.
Mhm.
And it was just it was very odd. Like I would have friends over and we would be just like hanging out on the porch and like it would be daytime, but you could see someone like walking towards you and like you could see like the wood moving like with the footsteps, but there was nobody there. And it would just walk towards you and then just stop in front of you. And like my friends, we also had I'm like rambling, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. I need to get it in order.
No worries. Take your time.
So my old house, we had like a catwalk, and it was my room, and then there was like a little catwalk, and it went to another room, and it all overlooked our living room. And I had brought one of my girlfriends home from college one year, and she was down in the living room sitting watching TV, and I was in the kitchen just getting us something to drink, and my parents were gone, and she just started screaming at the top of her lungs, and she said she saw a man walk across the catwalk. And like I had seen this happen many times before, so like it didn't like I was like, yeah, that's the can't remember what I called him. I think I called him like Bob or Bill, something stupid. Because like at that point in my life, like I was just so used to it, like it didn't like phase me anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's Bob. And she never came over again either.
She was just like startled out of her mind.
Yeah, she was from Indianapolis and I had her in the country in the cornfields and she just was like,
Mm,
no, not doing this.
yeah, I mean, they say that like you can take a country person and put them in the city, but you can't take a
Mhm.
city person and put them in the country.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean,
It's hilarious.
I'm from Oregon, so my grandparents like I grew
Okay.
up with horses and stuff, so
Okay.
I understand perfectly well.
I get you.
Yeah.
No, she was definitely in the city. But there was a lot of things in that house and I don't know, it always had like made me curious because we built the house. So it was always just something that was really it perplexed me because how can you build a house and then you have all the experiences? So it had to be something to do with the land.
Mm,
Like to me, it had to be something to do with the land, but I couldn't like after we found out that it was built on an old town, like, I was thinking maybe like there was a cemetery somewhere for the old town or something like that. Like, I don't
mm.
know. But there would be things like I would call them like shadow figures. They would come up from the basement and they were just it was just they were really scary. I wouldn't ever go into the basement. And then that catwalk
Is it
was
like the shadow figures are like silhouettes of people basically?
yeah, like they were full silhouettes.
Mm,
And you could hear them like walking up the stairs and they would get to like the third stair up and like you could see them and then at that point like I would just like walk the other way. They
Is
scared me.
this like looking dead at them or is this out the corner of your eye?
most of them were at the corner of my eye, but there were a
Mhm.
few times like dead at them. We had a pool table down in the basement, and like when I would have friends over and stuff, like we would go down and play pool. But I never liked it down there. Like I always just got this super weird feeling down there. And
Mhm.
this is my home. I'm supposed to be comfortable here, but there's just things in that house that I still to this day cannot explain anything that happened. And then
So,
like I feel like with me, I feel like things like attached to me and like followed me because like every location I've been to since then, I feel like something has happened. Like
mhm.
that's been weird. I had moved to a house um about 7 years ago. I had rented out a house, and um I was sitting in the living room, and the shadow figure that I would see like from the basement, I saw in the kitchen while I was sitting in the living room, and I saw it in the kitchen, and like he was just standing there, like full silhouette, just standing there. And like it
Mhm.
was terrifying because you could just feel like the negative energy from that. And like for the whole year that at least that house, I would never go to that end of the house. Like that room was like storage only, and I would never touch it.
Just straight bad juju for you.
Yeah,
um,
very, very bad.
have you ever had experiences with like sleep paralysis?
Actually, yes. I
Or should add on
have
top of
horrible
that,
sleep paralysis.
astral projection as well.
I, I I don't think that. I'm not too familiar with that, but I
Mhm.
sleep paralysis for sure, and it is always like a man, like the figure of a man in like the corner of my bedroom, and like slowly like coming at me.
Mhm.
And then I think actually like the last time I had it was probably like 2 months ago, and like my dog, he sleeps with me, and like he woke me up, like he started like licking my fingers, and like it finally got me like moving again.
Mhm.
But sleep paralysis is definitely um it actually didn't start occurring until I moved out of the house that I grew up in. And
Hmm.
it's scary. And that's just something too, like, where does that fit in with things? Like, is it supernatural or is it just like a dream state?
Well, if you really want to dig into it, I have basically one idea of what it could be.
Yeah.
But then again, I have no hard evidence, so I can't just be like this is fact. But um, so where do I start?
Go for it.
So have you heard of the night hag?
The night hag?
Yes.
I have not.
Okay. Well, the figure that you see when you have sleep paralysis is it's like a tall man with a hat, is what you can describe it
He
as.
doesn't have a hat,
Doesn't have a
but
hat.
he is a tall man, yes, but he doesn't have a hat.
Okay. There are two very distinct things that people see that I remember off the top of my head when they have sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
One would be the night hag, which is like a older woman, maybe with a rotting face, or they're at the edge of your bed or on top of your chest, which I've experienced personally, but only once.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be what people call like the Hat Man, which is a dude like standing in their doorway or standing at the foot of their bed, very like tall, dark silhouetted man with a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, if this was something that like one person would see here and there, I just shrug it off. But because so many people see it, it leads me
Right.
to want to believe that it has something to do with like uh, I don't want to say spiritual realm because that sounds kind of weird, but we'll call
That's
it a spiritual realm.
That's
So
interesting because the Hat Man was the first man that I ever wrote about in one of my journals.
really,
Yes, he was actually like the first thing I ever like. My first imaginary friend, as my parents would say. He would sit in my green chair at night,
mhm,
and he would watch me sleep, and it was a silhouette of a man with a top hat on,
really.
and I would
So you've
just
seen him
write about
yourself?
him. I have. I mean, he never like did anything. He never moved from the chair, but I saw him multiple times.
Hmm.
And
So
he was my first.
you seem, or at least to my understanding, you're a little bit less spooked by these kinds of things because it's so common for you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't scare me. I mean, I'm not saying I don't get scared, but
Hmm.
I'm not like taken off guard by it as much anymore.
Yeah. So I think that maybe even when you were a little kid, since it started happening then, it wouldn't have scared you. But for anyone else, seeing like that silhouette sitting in their chair would have scared the ever living shit out of them.
Right.
So
And it did at first.
of course, at first, but as it happened more and more, the more used to it you became, and the less scared you were.
Let me get real close to my mic for this one real quick. Hold on. Fuck sleep paralysis.
It's the worst. And it's just like that's the thing, like you said, like nobody really has like an actual explanation for it. And you know, the fact that it is so common. And like I've had sleep paralysis with my boyfriend sleeping like right next to me. And
Mhm.
like I can't get him to move, but I can still like I'm experiencing it and I don't know what to do.
I mean,
It's the worst.
so I can tell you what I did, and maybe you can try to incorporate
I
that
would
into.
love to know.
So at the time, I don't remember how old I was. We'll just say I was like 17, because that's when I was really, really into like lucid dreaming, astral
Mhm.
projection, and sleep paralysis. So I was fully aware of uh, if you want to try to lucid dream, you always run the risk of having sleep paralysis.
Right.
Um, just a disclaimer: I've never actually done the astral projection stuff. I've never made it that far, but one night I did have sleep paralysis, and this was during the time I was really into that stuff. And I was asleep. I woke up. I couldn't move. I opened my eyes, and I could very clearly see a older woman with like, I don't want to say zombie, but that's kind of like what it is similar to in my mind. Like she
Yeah.
had a rotting face just sitting on my chest, and I couldn't move. I
Oh
was like,
wow.
oh, okay. I just closed my eyes and I went back to sleep and I called it there. But
How could you go back to I was
because
in
I
panic.
was aware of what was happening, I knew that whatever this wasn't going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Either it wasn't going to, or it can't. I can't say either one, but I knew that I was going to be okay, so I just went back to sleep.
Go you, man. I usually can't go back to sleep after those happen. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I really don't, because
but I've
it's
never had one like sitting on my chest before. So like I said, kudos to you because that one probably would have kept me up for days not wanting to go back to sleep. Even if I knew it wasn't real.
yeah. Um, there's a picture that is in this Discord. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And that's the closest representation of what I saw that I could find on the internet.
Okay. I think that's interesting. I never like I know they always like when we were talking when I was in nursing school and we were doing like the mental health class or whatever, like they brought up sleep paralysis as like a mental health thing.
Hmm.
And like they broke down like the different things like people can see and but it just I don't feel like it's a mental health thing. It's really weird.
Well, I don't like to say that it's like confirmed mental health thing or not, because that would mean I have
Oh
some
wow.
sort of bias. So there's always a possibility, even if it's 0.5% chance. You got to reserve the right that that is possibly what's happening.
Your picture is terrifying, by the
Yeah,
way.
that's the closest representation of what I can find. mind. Um,
I would have shit my pants. No lie.
Also, you got to remember 17, a boy, a pothead. Like, sleep was my favorite thing, and I wasn't going to let anything take that away from me.
True. Okay. I get that. Sleep is still my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not 17.
So, I what makes it more interesting for me, like sleep paralysis specifically, and like the people seeing the night hag or the hat dude, is it's been going on since like the 1300s. There have been accounts of
Right.
exactly that. And the term
Hmm.
nightmare comes from night hag, which is what people would reportedly see.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to read more into this.
Yeah. So to me, it's not a coincidence.
So, do you all have like a lot of experiences too
Paranormal?
with, yeah, like paranormal experiences too?
Um, Paranormal specifically, no. When I was younger, I did used to see like the shadow people out of the corner of my eye,
Yeah.
but that's about it, and that quickly went away. Um, I have had plenty of experiences with precognitive dreams, which is basically dreaming something and then it happens in real life.
Oh, wow. My mom does that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. She's done that a few times. And I always tell her, I'm like, you ever have a dream about me? Don't tell me.
Well, for me, it's
That's
kind
kind of
of
cool.
weird because I'll have the dream, and then more often than not, I'll forget about it. And then it'll
Yeah.
happen, and I'm like, wait, deja vu, this has happened before. I remember dreaming about this. It's
That's
nothing like, oh, you're going to win the lottery if you remember these 3 numbers,
damn. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like, I don't know. My mom just says like she thinks I'm just sensitive. And I don't know if like that's the right word for it, but I pick up on energies a lot.
Mhm.
And like I can go into a house and like can immediately like tell if something is off. And I don't know. It's do you all like think like certain people are like sensitive to other things and stuff like that?
I think it's very well possible. I like, again, I try not to have a bias saying yes or no. It's always it's possible.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think people can. Hold on.
Uh,
Yeah, I definitely think people can be more sensitive to that kind of stuff. For sure.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's nice to like be able to like to talk to some people who like actually
Oh,
aren't.
oh yeah, for sure. And by the way, don't, once you're done with this, make sure to like hang out in our so the server that you're in with this app, everybody that's ever been on our show is in this channel. So, and
Okay.
it's pretty active. People still talk about, we share like articles on new stuff coming out, like UFO reports, ghost reports, stories. People send us updates of what's been going on in their lives, of like, I heard the weird
Cool.
sound again in my apartment. It's fun, and people are able to talk to each other, which is really nice.
Yeah. I this is like all new to me. I like it.
I'm not going to say it's required because it's obviously not, but I encourage you to, if you ever feel so inclined, share, like after today, whenever you just feel like it, share more of your stories.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, I have, like I said, I have notebooks full, but
Mhm.
being put on this spot, like I can't like
I
in
remember a
full detail,
specific
but
one.
like I always like, I always make the joke with my friends who like believe me, like I'm the kid from The Sixth Sense, like
Mhm.
I see dead people, and good and bad, but I'm crazy apparently, so I don't know. It's weird.
I mean,
But I
you
will
gotta pride
definitely
yourself
like.
on being different and being weird as well.
I mean,
Don't think of it as a bad thing.
I mean, I kind of I like it. I know that
Mhm.
sounds weird. I like the fact that I'm aware of things that other people aren't aware of, but then it goes back to the part where I'm just sharing that with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then like some of my friends, you know, that are really close to me, like they like that part of me too. So, and they always ask me all kinds of questions. So, what about this? What about this?
I assume it feels like, good to open up and share these kinds of things with those friends.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially ones that believe in it and have experienced different things. Now, when
Mhm.
you're trying to explain it to like skeptics, that's a whole nother issue in itself. Like
Yeah,
you look at the facial expression. That's all you have to do.
you just feeling
And
judged, and that's not a
you're
good feeling.
like, okay, we're not gonna talk about this anymore. Like, I know you don't believe me, so we're good. I mean, I had my boyfriend over the other night and I have like this thing on my wall that holds my glasses in it. And we were just sitting in the kitchen and suddenly like one of my wine glasses literally like he saw it like lift up and fly and like fall on the floor and crash. And he's
Oh.
like, "Oh, a car drove past and was loud." Like I'm like, "No." Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, not even
But
a
it's
tank
like
driving by your house would make that happen.
right. And it's just like things will happen around me and he'll just like brush it off. You're like, "Oh, well, it's this, it's this." And I'm like, "No." Like this is not right.
Bam, t-shirt idea. There's a t-shirt and there's a countertop with a wine glass on it, and there's a ghost picking it up and dropping the wine glass, and then in quotes it says, "It's just a car."
That's great. I will buy it. I mean, it's just ridiculous, like the things.
I mean,
But
it's all like the whole topic of paranormal UFO and cryptid stuff is very touchy for a lot of people, which
yes.
is why we like to do this, because we like hearing the stories. Mm, even even like when it's posted, there's always going to be those guys that are like, no, you're lying, or
It's a cloud.
it's a cloud.
Yeah. Man, I
And
posted a picture. I took it down, and this is because this is me being me. Like, I took it down because so many people were like, just call me out and saying things. But I posted a picture of, and I know like orbs are like a touchy subject anyway in the paranormal world, but like I was at the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and it's got a big haunted story to it. And I was walking down the staircase, and like right in front of me, like there's like this huge ass orb. Like it's not dust. It's so big, like it can't be dust. It can't be anything else. Like there was no reason. And like people were just like bashing me about posting. So I just took it down. It's like, see, this is why I don't share things.
it's just like not, how do you say it?
It's like we're in the dark
Anonymous.
ages of this kind of science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just being anonymous on the internet, people feel like they have the right to be a jerk.
Oh yeah, there's some mean
But
ones out there.
I think that you should just completely discredit if someone comes on your post and says, that's not that, that's this, and then they leave it at that, then, ignore it. But if they say, that's not that, that's this, and here's why I think that, that's when it's
That's a different
okay.
story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and that's
you.
when you'll read up on it, and I'm
Yeah.
okay. Like I'm totally okay with people like debunking me or like giving me explanations. Like even with the story in the ER, like maybe I was sleep deprived.
Mhm.
Maybe it was the long 12 hours and I was just tired. But I know me and I know what I've experienced, so I know it wasn't that. But that's what other people might think, as well. And so I'm open to that idea if you all aren't. But
Or I mean, if you're sleep deprived to past the 24-hour point, you can start actually hallucinating and seeing and hearing things. But you,
Wasn't to the 24-hour point.
yeah. So I mean, it's still very well possible, but
Right.
I don't think that's what it is.
Right. And I don't either. But again, if people want to give me explanations, I'm open to those. Like, I'm not one of those people like, oh, whatever, no. But
Moral of the story: don't be a jerk.
right, don't be a jerk. Be kind.
Just anyone that's listening. When
And
you
fuck
say
sleep
that,
paralysis.
and fuck sleep paralysis. If you go on someone's post that shares their experience, don't just be like, no, it's not that, it's this. Back it up a little bit. You don't even need to go type an essay. Just back it up a little bit. Try to create a
Right.
conversation.
And I feel like sometimes, like, when people are putting the stuff out there, like, they're putting a lot into telling their story.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a part of them and they're putting that out there. And, yeah, it's anonymous, but, it's hard to make up some of this stuff. And I don't know. I get frustrated when people like, hey, I'm gonna post something I'm gonna go onto the paranormal Reddit page and then I'm just gonna go down and like tell everybody that it's fake. It's not this, it's not this. Why are you on the page then, dude? Like, get off. Like, these people believe in this stuff and this happened to them. Like, let's just be a jerk.
I mean, Stackhouse knows very well the UFO subreddits are just gone downhill because of that.
That's what he was saying.
They're both ends of the extremes, man. The Reddit one is dismiss everything, and the Facebook ones are all, oh my god, everything's alien related.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. I don't know. It's just frustrating sometimes. I had actually there was I think it was on like maybe it was on the UFO one. I don't know for sure. But the town that I grew up in, it's Corden, Indiana, and they're known for like the 3 lights in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually like, attached an article about it and like had explained, an encounter with it. And like somebody from Corden actually like got on there. He's like, I've never heard of these. I'm from Corden. I'm like, read the article. Like, these are real. I have seen them. Everybody here has seen them. You're obviously not from Corden. Like,
They're just looking for a reason to discredit you, basically.
yeah, exactly. So that's okay.
Just being anonymous, people feel like they just need to be assholes because of it, which is disheartening and sad.
Yeah. That's how
But
people
hey,
are though anymore.
they just do what they want, so it's okay. I'm not gonna try to change them.
Sorry if I rambled.
Oh, dude,
I
no,
can go on.
we love long episodes. They do really well for us.
I'm good. I'm glad I could help, and I'm definitely gonna like keep following you guys.